Hello Capricorn, and welcome back to your monthly plant spirit reading with me, Joey, the Starry Hedge Witch. And we're going to be using the Seed and Sickle Oracle deck this month for your May reading. We're going to be using the Dawn Guidebook. So if you want to hear more about this oracle, you can check it out right now on the YouTube channel and you can hear all about it. It's one of my absolute favourite decks when it comes to plant spirits, and I really love the dichotomy of having a dawn reading for new beginnings, new growth, or a shadow reading with dusk. But because we were getting into new beginnings of the month of May, we are going to have a dawn reading. And we have pre-shuffled. So here is your card for the month. And you have Ragwort. Ooh, Ragwort. Ragwort. Do. I actually really like Ragwort because it's the original witch's broom, which is in my head the minute I have seen it. So Ragwort is within the autumn section of the booklet. It's set up into seasons, so that might give you a little bit of the energies of it. Ragwort is seen as an invasive weed by many, but it is also a valuable soul food source for the striking cinnabar moth. You may have been feeling lately that what you have to offer does not fulfill what others want from you, but you have your own unique skill set to provide that which others cannot. You may simply be growing in the wrong place, or it may be that the person who will value you above all others has not appeared yet. Stay true to yourself, and you will be feeling appreciated soon. So I pulled up a little more information on Ragwort for us, and this is from artcornwall.org. Whereas the witch of popular tradition takes air on a broomstick, the West Country witch is said to ride on ragwort stalks. The folklorist Robin Hunt, in his 1865 classic work Romances of the West of England, describes this. Many a man and woman too, now sleeping quietly in the churchyard of St. Leven, would, had they the power, attest to have seen the witches flying into the castle peak on moonlit nights, mounted on stems of ragwort, and bringing with them the things necessary to make charms potent and strong. This tradition is not just peculiar to Cornwall. It seems to be pan-Celtic, turning up in Scotland and Ireland. In Scotland, in Robert Burns' 1746 address to the Dial, he wrote, "Tell me we you on ragweed nags, they skim the moors and dizzy crags." And in Ireland, ragwort was known as the, I'm going to try and pronounce this correctly, Bulan Búr, or fairy horse. I'm probably butchering that then. In the Gaelic traditions, fairies and witches were often seen as interchangeable. Dr. Margaret Murray noted in her seminal 1931 book, The God of the Witches, there seems to be a great profusion of objects used to transport the witch to the Sabbat. She lists the broom plant, ragwort, hemp bean, holly stalks, ash twigs, and even palm branches in the Middle East. Carlo Ginzburg lists an even greater assortment of pots and pans and household objects. This does raise the possibility it was not the object itself that was of importance, but the way in which it was used. Many speculated that the riding or ritual dance was the key point. Others, such as Terence McKenna, have speculated that the object was a method of delivering the legendary hallucinogenic witch's salve to the rider through the skin of the genitals. One of the earliest accounts of the use of the salve occurs in the Bavarian physician Hartleip in 1456. After describing the ritual gathering of its herbal ingredients, he concludes, when they feel the urge, they rub their bench, their rake, their loading fork, and off they fly. So there you go. A little bit more about ragwort. Okay. Ragwort turns up in old herbals and has been used medicinally. Its active ingredient is a volatile oil called rutin. It is said this would be applied externally as a poultice for muscle aches and scatia. It encourages blood flow. This would tie in with the idea of the stalk being able to be used to deliver the witch's unguent, the witch's ointment. It is also, however, damaging to the liver and should not be taken internally. Yeah, it does have a poisonous impact, doesn't it? Similar to the way foxglove is. You should not eat it. One of its names, staggerweed, owes to the fact that it's poisonous to cattle and horses if eaten, causing them to stagger and eventually die. Whilst speaking on the subject at a talk in Penzance, the question was asked as to whether ragwort itself may have hallucinogenic properties. A lady in the audience who happened to be a toxicologist stood up and left us all in no doubt. She stated that ragwort was a cumulative poison, and when it reached a critical level, it would kill you. She said if it did have any hallucinogenic effects, it was due to the delirium resulting from organ failure. She concluded that if you did take it in such a manner to travel to the Sabbat, it would be a one-way ticket. Yeah, okay. If ragwort had, however, been used as somewhat risky means of absorbing some kind of hallucinogenic ointment, then this does show a subtle and complex knowledge of herb lore, involving the interrelationship of a number of active ingredients in the context of magical belief and a mythical narrative. Ragwort has a bright yellow flower which seems to erupt into a spray of foliage. It has a ragged appearance which it derives its name from, commonly grows on waste ground that has once been disturbed. In Scotland, it was said to have grown up on the battlefield of Culloden after the bloody defeat of Cumberland. It is also said to have been associated with the bomb sites in London after the Blitz. It grows in profusion on neglected farmland. Hence the saying, ragwort is a good crop for bad farmers. The fact that it grows in liminal places may add to the resonance of its use as a magical herb, witchcraft having a long and venerable relationship with the liminal and the other. It also has, unusually, 13 petals, 13 being a number often associated with witches. A final factor adding to its significance seems that it comes into flower around midsummer, which, of course, in the Cornish tradition is the time when witching is at its height. So there we go. It's very much associated with all things witchy and has a level of poison. So what does that mean in context of you connecting with this plant spirit for the month of May and the things that are coming? So on my Patreon, on the 1st of May, there is a release for everybody about the astrology and the astral insights and the points of what's going to matter throughout the month. And the month of May is divided between Taurus and Gemini, and there is an awful lot going on astrologically, which requires a strength and a persistence and a plodding through. Now, the fact that you're reading Capricorn here discusses the way in which people value you. So ragwort is a witch's herb, and throughout history has all of these inclinations of just how magical and frankly terrifying it can be. It can be poisonous, it can overwhelm, it can kill people, and yet people probably don't look at ragwort in the same way as they are knowledgeable about it being a poison in the same way as foxglove. Perhaps because it's less pretty, a bit more rough around the edges. I really find it interesting that it pops up around battlefields after battle and after like death has taken hold in something, so like the end of a cycle. That could showcase for you, Capricorn, that you are dealing with the end of a cycle which has led you to feeling unappreciated or having shadows of not feeling appreciated by other people. Be careful with that going through the month. There is a number of eclipses and retrogrades happening in May, which can lead to some deepened shadow work, so that might be bubbling to the surface for you. And it being in the autumn section means that you might well be dealing with like the dying off of the old to allow new growth in the future. So this feels like for this month you're going to be dealing with whether or not you feel appreciated. And that's going to be a very bit of a sticky wicket, I think, for some of you, if you get a little bit stuck in the idea of what that means, because sometimes appreciation doesn't necessarily look the way that you expect it to look, but you have to look if it is there or if it is your perception saying it is there or not, and what that means. So there's going to be a bit of a deep dive for you, my darlings, this month. It does suggest in the card that staying true to yourself and you will feel appreciated is going to happen within the reading of the card itself. I would suggest a little bit more of a tangent than that. Going deeper into the feelings of feeling unappreciated and seeing where it's coming from. Is there actions? Is it constant? Do you feel put on all the time? Are you expected to be doing, leading, being of service way more than anyone else? Or is it just that you perform certain acts and the people around you perform others? Because the energy of May does have the shadow of not appreciating other people as well. So we have to find the balance between ourselves feeling appreciated, Capricorn, and making sure we are appreciative of the efforts of other people, and finding a middle ground there, because this is a liminal space with this plant spirit. This plant spirit is asking you to consider what others cannot see and not to ingest too much of it, or you will end up poisoned. That's one of the baneful poison lessons, that anything can heal or harm in the right dosage. And the magic of poisonous plants, especially those associated with witchcraft, is often being on the border, being on the liminal, having people judge you, not understand you, try to take away your power a little bit. And no one's going to take away your power, Capricorn. Capricorns are some of the most, innately powerful people on the planet. They have that quiet reservoir of inner strength. But at the same time, your own shadows can undo that and unpick that to some degree. But be fair in your assessments and allow yourself to be heart-led as well as head-led this month, my darlings. Okay? If you would like to hear more, you can, of course, sign up to my Patreon. Links are down below, where we do a weekly reading, and you can get more insights into that and the astrology for the month and all the witchy goodness besides, with the continuing Morrigan cycle, all about shape-shifting, which might be of particular help for you guys if you are looking to shift and change in the month of May. That's it for Capricorn this month, my darlings. Many blessings, and I'll talk to you very, very soon.